Hello, everyone. This is Under the Mayo. Welcome to another episode of Profiles in Gaming Enthusiasm. I'm joined by the one and only ShreddedNerd. How are you doing?
The one and only. I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. You are the person that perfectly explained to me why some Halo players have a problem with sprint, which is
Yes.
something that I always knew about, and like I was never crazy about the idea, but man, you laid it out so perfectly. You have a really good Halo channel. Anyone who is interested in learning the ins and outs of Halo, definitely check out his channel.
Oh, thank you, thank you
Yeah,
for the
so
kind words.
yeah, well, like I had actually seen your channel before I saw your response video to me. I know
Yeah.
that I had seen something. I can't recall which video it was, but I was like, I know that voice. and
Really, might have been that Halo Sprint video. That one did
yeah, it may have been.
inexplicably well. Sometimes it just catches in the algorithm. Just feels like random, like magic.
It does feel random. Like I did a review for the DLC for Streets of Rage 4 and it got like 150,000 views, and then I did a then I like the next week I did a guide for one of the characters and it got like 4,000 views. I was like, I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah, yeah. It's unpredictable,
Yeah.
to say the least.
How long have you had your channel?
Oh, I've had it since 2011, I think, so it's pretty old. But
Oh, me too. Same year.
I mean, if you look at all the old stuff, obviously it's not going to be the highest quality, highest standards. I've been doing it properly though for maybe the last year. About I think I started properly getting back into it around the time of that Halo Infinite demo last year.
Okay.
Sorry, I got people in the background. Um, but yeah, around the time of that Halo Infinite demo, the Craig, the monkey, and all that.
Yes.
So I put a video on that, and just made it topical, and it got a couple thousand views. So I thought, you know what, I want to just keep at it. Might be a bit of fun.
Yeah, how's it
Not much
been?
else to do.
Has it been pretty, consistent, kind of shaky? How do you find the more continuous YouTube uploading thing?
Well, I've had a trouble. I've had well, it depends. As of recently, I've been doing fairly well, I'd say.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, fairly consistent. A few videos out every month. But there are times where I went like 2 months without uploading. I think around the tail end of last year. So I think I've gotten better at that. Definitely. Um, I'm still fairly amateurish to start with. I mean, I'm still fairly amateurish now, but I have slowly been getting better with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
how
still, figuring out the kind of content I want,
are
want to produce.
are you are you going to continue being mainly Halo focused, or do you see yourself? Are there some other topics you'd really like to start getting into? Because I know you've done some other stuff, like you did a video on Doom a couple months ago.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I mean, like Halo really seems to be like your forte, or at least at the moment. Where could you see yourself going in a year, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I definitely want to try some stuff with other games in general. I guess I would prefer, if I do continue with this channel, obviously, if I get more traction with it, if I continue on my current trajectory, even, I'd try to focus on being more just games in general, rather than exclusively Halo. But I think at the end of the day, I think I'd still cover Halo, no matter what, right?
Yeah, sure.
Regardless of its status,
It's like me and
regardless of
Doom and Resident Evil. I'm like, if there's a new one, I'm probably going to be talking about it.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah,
When your response video came out to my older Halo video, I saw this influx of comments on my old video, and I mean that video was always doing well with traffic. Comments has got like 5,000 comments on it. Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I knew
You
that
you
was
alerted the horde.
I knew that was coming before I put it up. But like I got this sudden influx of comments on that video, and it was a bunch of people leaving comments saying things that I basically agreed with. Like they were saying things like
Yeah.
they're like, well, the Halo's combat loop is actually quite fast and all this stuff, and I'm like, I agree with that. And I'm like, what's going on here? Why are all these people coming into my Halo videos saying things that I'm kind of in agreement with?
Yeah, and they're all like, "Oh,
Yeah,
Halo didn't ruin gaming. It was the developers trying to copy it that ruined
yeah.
gaming." Stuff like that. Yeah,
I was like,
I get
something's
what you
going on, and then I get this link to your response video. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's happened here, and you really sparked me because like I've been dealing for 10 months with comments of people kind of like taking certain things from that first video that I kind of didn't mean to say, or maybe they took like half of what I was saying. I was like, and I've been like 10 months just like clarifying stuff. And I've always wanted to do some kind of follow up, but it felt kind of forced to be like part two.
Guess I did you a favor.
Yeah, dude, you just I was like, there's my excuse. And so it was actually really refreshing to like see a well put together rebuttal that brought up stuff that made me want to talk about it. And so that's why I had this idea to have you on this podcast, and not necessarily to like have like a debate back and forth, but to just kind of talk in general because you seem
No,
like
that's
you know
cool.
your stuff and you're a good content creator, and I figured,
Oh,
hey,
thank you. Yeah, sure. No, glad to be on.
there's a point in your video where you talk about how back in the day, back in the day for me does not mean mid 2000s, but I'm gonna say it means back in the mid 2000s. That Halo and Call of Duty were kind of like mortal enemies, right? And
Yeah,
so
in a sense, yeah.
yeah, so while I talk about the shared console mechanics and their influence, you're talking more about like the actual design of the gameplay being like polar opposites. And I was wondering if maybe you could get into that a little more. What were Halo players back then really pushing against in terms of Call of Duty's influence?
Well, I guess you can see it most in terms of people's complaints regarding Halo Reach and especially Halo 4, right? They introduced kind of a large set of features that hadn't really prior been in prior Halo games that were present in Call of Duty all along. So things like hit markers, things like grenades, loadouts, sprint, ADS. Just
Grenades, how, in what way?
sorry, grenade markers.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they tell you when they tell you where the grenades are on the floor. Those things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was all those features, and they were seen as kind of counter to Halo. And I think there was a general idea that they were casualizing Halo, and that's a fairly broad kind of nebulous thing. But I mean, there is a hint of truth of it, right? Call of Duty is generally seen as kind of the perfect casual game, right? Because it's not really concerned about balance, not really concerned with competitiveness. It kind of gives out things like kill streaks, and that's not to say it isn't fun, but it's not typically viewed as a balanced arena sandbox, right? That's a term a Halo fan would use.
Sure.
But I think even in say Reach, they still some people still criticize Reach. They said that was the beginning of the downfall, quote unquote downfall. It's when they introduced things like loadouts, sprint, armor abilities, and they saw things like that as conflicting with Halo's gameplay. Like
Yeah.
for example, in all the previous Halo games, Halo 1 to 3, you could always move in any direction while being able to shoot and throw grenades at any time, basically unimpeded. But when they introduced armor abilities, right, they kind of affected the flow. So, for example, when you sprint, you put down your weapon. You're not able to fire
That
while you're
annoys. I
sprinting.
hate like any game I'm playing where I'm playing with sprint. It just drives me crazy that
Yeah.
I'm no longer able to shoot while running. Even if I would take just like reduced accuracy or something because uh, it. I feel like I spend half the game not in a position where I can't actually do anything.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, in Halo, yeah, all along you could shoot at any point and you could throw grenades at any point. But when Sprint was introduced, it didn't really seem like they introduced it with any consideration towards the balance of the sandbox. Right? It was more like they looked at the features that were popular and they considered, well, at least I think this was for Halo 4. They looked at the features that were popular and kind of added whatever was popular
And what
in the
year
industry at
was
the time. They kind of followed the industry trends.
what year was Halo 4?
Halo 4 was 2012 and
Okay.
Halo Reach was 2010. So that was the same. Halo Reach was the same year as Black Ops 1, and then Black Ops 2 was Halo 4. So basically, Halo 4 got completely destroyed by Black Ops 2 because what they tried to do, they basically tried to follow, they tried to copy a lot of features from Call of Duty. They took over like all the things I mentioned before. They added all these features and they didn't really mesh well with Halo's gameplay. And people say, Halo 4 is a Call of Duty clone. Well, that's partially true, but it's not entirely true because the game, it didn't really play like Call of Duty. It still had high time to kill and, Halo hitboxes. I could still play it on the Halo engine, but it introduced Call of Duty features that clashed with Halo gameplay. And so Call of Duty players, they weren't really enticed to go by all those Call of Duty features to go over and play Halo. Instead, it kind of just alienated existing Halo players,
Sure.
while naturally the Call of Duty players stayed over on Black Ops 2. And it doesn't help that that was one of the more beloved Call of Duty games in retrospect.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I mean, all they're gonna do is like if they make anybody happy, they're gonna make people happy that play the game for like a week or two, right? And then they're like, okay,
Yeah.
that was fun. Back to my normal thing.
Yeah, exactly. I feel they should have done something. The thing about 343 is they wanted to innovate, right? They wanted to kind of expand the horizons of Halo. They wanted to make new things, but I feel like what they should have done is they should have gotten a baseline to start with first, where something that pleases the fans, the hardcore audience, and kind of establish themselves as the Halo developer first. And it might have been unambitious, or it might have been not innovative, but they should have done something fairly run of the mill first before using that as a springboard to expand upon, right, and innovate further.
Yeah, it's
If that makes
no,
sense at
no,
all.
I follow you. It what's so because I mean they were taking over a new property, all right, and
Yeah,
almost like
and
you don't want to reinvent the wheel right on your
yeah,
first thing when you're still
yeah,
even learning how to make the game.
yeah,
It's so weird to think of because I haven't played a Halo game in a long time.
yeah,
I mean, I played back with my friends when the original games came out, and then I've never owned an Xbox in my life, man, and so I'm not gonna keep up with the latest Halo games. I I watch channels like I mean everyone knows the Act Man, right? That's kind of how
yeah, man, yeah,
that's kind of how I caught up. Like, oh, okay, so that's what's been going on with Halo, and it's so weird to think of Halo with loadouts.
yeah,
It is such a bizarre idea to me. Like it seems to go against one thing that I really like about those classic games, whether I'm talking about like the arena shooters like Unreal Tournament or or the first Doom or Halo, is that you spawn on the map and there are different weapons around the map that are important to find, and it encourages a sense of map familiarity and map control, right?
yeah. Map control.
I want that weapon, or I want my team to have that weapon. I don't want you guys to have that weapon, and it makes it more than a game of just let's go around and shoot each other, or
Yeah,
let's
that's
find
a
a good
meta game.
spot to camp. Like there's more to do in it. That's why I love watching like high level competitive Quake 3, because that stuff is just insane.
Oh yeah,
And so a loadout just kind of goes against that. Like you spawn with all the stuff that you know
yeah,
that you want to
completely.
have, and now you're just playing the point and shoot game.
Yeah, exactly. And well, the thing about Halo 4 loadouts, like they didn't even let you have every weapon in the game, so it didn't even have the benefit of a traditional loadout system from something like, say, Call of Duty. right?
Uh-huh.
Where, you know, in Call of Duty, you'd be able to get the appeal of loadouts is that you use any weapon you want. But in Halo, they knew that if they let you spawn with a rocket launcher, right?
Well, that would be insane.
Yeah, exactly. But so the question then was, how do they give you a diversity in terms of what weapons you can select for your loadouts, while also not just completely messing up the sandbox?
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, the answer is you don't. It's either you have a whole lot of redundant weapons, right? Like there's the battle rifle and the DMR, things like that, and the carbine that basically fill the same role. They're basically precision weapons,
Mm.
and you know, there was basically just precision and automatic for your primaries, and then for your secondaries, it was just like the pistol and just these two weapons that. And there was this one weapon, there was four on a weapon that was called the bolt shot, and basically it had a secondary fire that was just a shotgun. So it was either it was redundant or it was just unbalanced and overpowered. Like there was no real way to balance it properly.
Mm.
I feel, and not to mention there's, you know how the plasma pistol it has the alternate fire when you hold it down to charge it, right?
Right.
And when you shoot that at a vehicle, it kind of stuns the vehicle. It does an EMP attack, and the vehicle stops.
Yep.
Yeah, you could spawn in Halo 4 with the plasma pistol in your loadout. So that means this entire big team battle mode, which is a significant mode in Halo, it kind of ruined the whole vehicle balance in that because everyone could spawn with
Wow.
these plasma grenades and everyone could spawn with these plasma pistols. So just,
Jesus, that sounds horrible.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
because you can spawn, I assume, with by picking both weapons, and so everyone just like secondary plasma pistol.
Well, in
Just
big team, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, and with sprint, here's something I never understood. In Halo, like you know, like you said in your video that you think that it was probably like, you know, like playtesting, like newer players being like, why can't I sprint? Like, why am I moving so slow, right?
Yeah.
So if they want to speed up the movement of the game, why not just make the base movement speed faster, right? Like you could just, you know, make characters walk a little faster, and so it kind of feels like they're jogging along as they're moving. Then you wouldn't have to add in sprint. How as a Halo player yourself, how would you feel about that instead?
Yeah, well, that was my thing. I think the thing is, people could already increase the movement speed since Halo 3, right? There was a
Mm.
custom option for that, and they did that in
Uh,
like MLG, so that wasn't really even an issue. The thing is,
okay.
I don't think the game was too slow. Like you build the maps around the player's speed.
Yes.
Like, yeah. So if you want the game to be faster, it's quite simple to change it. I think this is more the fact that sprint was such a standard in games like Call of Duty, right?
Yes.
There was such an industry trend, and naturally that was kind of counter to Halo. So yeah, sprint was such an industry trend, and I think they basically got that a lot of their ideas, 343 that is, they got a lot of their ideas basically from market research. They felt like we want to kind of guarantee that this game's successful, and I guess to some extent they felt like they were avoiding risk by doing that. They felt like
Yeah.
by kind of sticking to industry trends, they were kind of guaranteeing success in a way, but it really backfired, I would say, as a strategy.
Yeah, and Halo 5 just I watched your stuff on Halo 5, and it seems like you say that like they corrected like half the stuff, but then the other half got worse.
Yeah, they doubled down. Yeah. It's Halo 5's a bit odd. Like at least I feel like I said, Halo 4 felt like it was just made in response to the market research, but Halo 5, you kind of get the feeling that at least there was some kind of philosophy behind it, you know? There was a solid design, they knew what they wanted, but I still feel as if what they wanted still kind of conflicted with what Halo is. And I think most Halo fans, even fans of Halo 5, kind of agree with that. But yeah, I didn't think Halo 5 was bad. I did enjoy what I played, but it didn't really hold me for very long. Like I preferred to go back to the MCC and just keep playing the old Halo games.
Do you see
But,
Infinite being the right fix? Do you see them that actually being the one like true good Halo game to come out of this era?
I think it's it's a tough situation. It's interesting. Infinite, I wouldn't really classify it as a classic game, really, because it still has a lot of those. It has a lot of like new features that weren't really from classic Halo at all. I think it has, and other people have covered this before, right? That Halo Infinite isn't really, it's not really a classic style game because it has the biggest makeover of the sandbox of the Halo weapon sandbox in like any Halo game yet. It has, it's like if they didn't bring back the super shotgun and the plasma rifle and stuff, and
Wow, that
just
big of a
brought in
change.
complete.
That big of a change? Like what key weapons do you think are missing from the mix this
Well,
time around?
well, they don't have the classic Magnum for one, but that's been removed before. But they don't have the classic shotgun,
Oh,
and yeah, brand new shotgun that works completely different.
okay.
Um, and well, I mean, they do still have some of the iconic. I know it's such an overused term in Halo, but the iconic and the recognizable weapons like the battle rifle, the assault rifle, things like that. But to be honest, overall, I don't think it's even like too bad of a thing. I feel like of the things you can kind of make over and overhaul in Halo, I feel like the weapons are actually one of them. Like I feel like the weapons are something that should be on the table because we talk all the time about the sandbox. I feel like if they want to really innovate, that should be one of the points rather than messing by just adding things like sprint, messing with the balance by adding things like loadouts. They should instead move around the kind of elements we interact with in the world, the dynamic elements, like the weapons we pick up, things like that. So I feel like it's not entirely bad, but it is still not exactly classic. It's not like it's a return to classic. It's something new, but it's not that it guarantees it's going to be bad, basically.
Sure.
But in other things, like it still has things like sprint. Um, it still has things like, well, it doesn't quite have aim down sight. It has this, what do they call it, like smart link or something. Basically, I'll explain it briefly. Like in previous Halo games, you had binoculars where you could zoom in,
Right, I remember that.
and but in Halo 5, they made it so it's more like it's closer to aim down sight in Call of Duty. Like the binoculars, like whenever you shot, it would just snap you out of them, right?
Yep.
But in Halo 5, it was more like you could zoom in on every single weapon in the game.
Damn.
And so Halo Infinite, they kind of they still have that system but scaled back. It's like they pared back a lot of the kind of changes they made from Halo 5. Oh, I think it's basically a pared back Halo 5 is how I'd summarize it. Like a lot they in Halo 5 they really pushed it with all the movement abilities like sprint and the dash,
Oh
the
yeah.
ground pound, all that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And in Halo Infinite, they still have some of the movement abilities. Like they still have the thrust, which is that's like a dash sideways, right? Like in Doom Eternal or something like that. But the thrust is returning as like an equipment that's like a limited use item. And obviously they still have the sprint and Smartlink. So it basically it's not really a return to classic, but I think it's still. I think 343 are better informed now about kind of what a Halo game is supposed to be than they were during the development of Halo 4 or 5. Because one thing about Halo 4 is that they were basically a brand new studio. They were put together by Microsoft. And their top concern wasn't, how do we make a Halo game? It was how do we build a AAA studio from the ground up. It was more about the polish and the basically being AAA, right? Being industry leading studio. So I think I've brought this up a few times, but they said they hired people who hated Halo.
Hmm.
Versus if you look at the foundation of some other companies, right? where they, hire people from the modding community. They hire their fans, right? Like id did that back in the day. I think I mean like Half-Life was built with of the modding community of Quake, I think. Well, they hired some people from there. But all the big companies do that. They hire from the fans. And Bungie did that as well, right? By the time of Reach, they had all the fans working for the company. But yeah, I think 343, they were more concerned about being AAA than making something for the fans.
And do you think they're in a better place now, especially since they're taking so much time?
Yeah, I think it's because of because of basically their failings with Halo 4 and 5. And it doesn't mean they're in a perfect place now, but I think they're definitely in a much better place than they were then. I think, the studios moved around, naturally people have moved out, and I guess they have hired more fans since then, since the beginning. And kind of return back, and they do have like some industry. They do have some more veterans. Like 343, they were composed of very few people from Bungie. Like very few people from Bungie actually went over to work at 343. But now they have, they've had a couple more people, like Joe Staten, obviously, who they're showing off in all the promotional and marketing material. He was the old writer for Halo, and he's come back, and they've had some other people. I think, was it Max Hoberman? He was I think, multiplayer designer, as well as I think Isaac Hannaford, artist. He did some work in Halo Infinite. So they have some people from Bungie coming back. I feel like it's been basically over 343's history. They have gotten better, I'd say. Even going from Halo 4 to Halo 5, they learnt a lot. They kind of swallowed their pride, but they were still, a bit too committed to, their own ideas as opposed to what a Halo game is meant to be.
I'm so curious what I'm going to think of Infinite, because I'm coming to the game as someone who did not play 4 or 5 or Reach. I still haven't played 3. It's on my list. I want to play 3 before.
You got to play 3.
Yeah, I hear all these things, right? Because I mean, obviously, Halo's not my thing, but I liked Halo 1 more than I liked Halo 2, just based on the multiplayer. I enjoyed it more.
It was the multiplayer. I thought you weren't much of a multiplayer guy.
Well, I mean, I'm not, but I'm talking about 20 years ago, sitting around in the apartments with my friends on their Xboxes, And so, I played it here and there. Actually, we used to do this funny thing where when my friends were doing these Halo parties back in 2002, I'd bring my PC, because I just liked hanging out with everybody, but I just didn't play Halo, and so I'd play some Unreal and on my computer, and then I'd sit down, play a couple Halo matches, and I'd be like, okay, that's good, and then I'd go back. But we would do this thing where we do these tournaments, and the final person of the tournament, the winner of the tournament, had to face me in Halo Deathmatch. 1v1. And it was so funny because I would put everything into it. I'm playing so badly, but I would give them a run for their money, man. But it was funny. Now you have to beat the guy that doesn't play Halo to win the tournament. That was fun stuff. But I enjoyed that I more than Halo 2, and I think it's because of the shield thing.
Shields and the health.
Yeah, I don't like regenerating health that much in shooters, but I did like that you were still taking care of a health bar beyond the shield. And in Halo 2, I felt like it was just like my shield was gone, I'm dead. And and it just, I don't know, it made me even more hesitant, I guess. I know that's my fault, I guess, but I just didn't really like it as much as Halo 1, and I didn't play 3, but my plan is to play 3 before Infinite comes out. Whether I do a video on it or not, that's up in the air. But how am I gonna feel about Infinite when I go in? Am I gonna go in and be like, hey, this is a pretty cool, fun game, guys? And all the Halo fans are gonna be like, no! It's horrible. You don't know what you're talking about, and I'm just gonna be in my corner and be like, I don't know. I had fun. like, I'm genuinely curious what's going to happen with that, with new people coming to it, because every game needs new players, right? People who've never even played the game are going to play it for their first time, and they're going to be like, "What's everyone talking about? What's the problem?"
I mean, there were plenty of people who played Halo 4 and 5 for their first games.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm uncertain about the future of Halo Infinite myself. I mean, overall, I'd still say it looks good, but with, a fair number of asterisks. Like, I think the absence of Forge and split screen campaign.
Oh, dude, that's a big mark for me, dude, because I really was gonna just play it split screen with some friends and have fun, and now I gotta play it alone.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta wait. What was it, like 3 months?
Jesus.
After, it's the whole live service thing.
It makes me think, like, what else is not done? What else is not going to be done on launch?
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions about, because they've been fairly cagey. I think they haven't shown any new campaign gameplay since the Craig demo, and they haven't shown a lot of stuff. Like
that's weird.
Like, I've heard conflicting reports as well. Like, some people say there's going to be like 27 maps, versus some people say there's like 15. I've heard all sorts of sources, and it really is. Well, it's pretty good time if you're a leaker, you can just, or a fake leaker, right? You can just basically go on Reddit, and just make up a bunch of stuff, and people have no choice but to believe it.
There was it was October 2019. It kind of reminds me of this, what you're talking about, how like there's no new footage or anything, like they're not hyping it up at this point, which you feel like they should be, right?
Yeah.
There should be like, hey, we're gonna check out this level of the campaign, or
exactly. You'd think so.
It was October 2019, and Doom Eternal was set to come out in November of 2019, and it was October, and there was like no hype. There were no big trailers or previews of levels, and I'm like, this is like the game I've been more excited about in my life, and I don't feel excited at all. What's going on? why does this feel wrong? And then a couple weeks later, delay, and got delayed till March, which was for the best, and because hell, if it had just come out with no marketing push, that would have been horrible. But you could feel it. There was something in the air, even though it wasn't announced. They're like, why are they not promoting the game? It's supposed to come out next month. And that's how it's feeling with Infinite at this point. It's like, why is there not more stuff pushing the game? Why are we not seeing more content? And it makes me feel like there's a delay coming, but they seem to be sticking to December and just saying, well, we're just going to delay Forge and co-op. Do you think it's the right thing, or do you think they should delay again?
Yeah, I imagine it's an incredibly difficult decision to make. Like, they've already delayed it a year. So I feel like all the pressure they're getting from just thinking of the developers, from the publishers and fans, just to get this thing out. Pardon me. But yeah, no, I think ultimately, if I were in charge in the hypothetical situation, I would say I would err on the side of delaying it, because I feel like, I mean, me personally, I place a lot of importance on those features, right? Like campaign co-op and like Forge, like the map editing. Man, just so many hours I've given over just to custom game modes. It's ridiculous, basically.
Actman was saying in his latest video, this like something like, you only get that first experience once, and all the memories that you can create with your friends by playing through the campaign together for the first time, like that's all gone. It's all gone now.
Yeah.
And I never played through the entire campaign back in 2002, but when I did play the campaign just kind of casually at like my friends' parties, I was playing it co-op, and so even for me, as someone who doesn't really get into Halo, like, it's more enjoyable for me that way, because I'm at least doing it with my friend or doing missions together and stuff like that. And now that option's just off the table. That really, really sucks, man.
Yeah, I feel like that's almost it's almost gone into a kind of mythical status, right? That's kind of the public, um, in the public imagination, the public's conception of Halo. It's so intrinsically tied, right? The couch co-op experience and Halo, like to think of launching a Halo game without it is just it's just ridiculous. Even if the majority of players don't use it, it's still something that's so fundamentally linked
Yeah.
in the general gaming populace, the general public's imagination. It's kind of still unthinkable, even though it's happened before. Like in Halo 5, they didn't have any split screen, but it's just ingrained.
Yeah. It is.
Also, also, I just want to say before when you're bringing up that how all your friends were playing Halo while you're in the corner playing Unreal, I feel the same way about CS:GO.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, everybody plays it. Well, all my friends play it, but I just see like I see people log in for the night, get off, extremely angry every single time. It's either if they win, they just go back for another game and they just keep playing until they rage quit, basically. It's like an addiction.
Man, like I couldn't get into anything my friends started playing in the 2000s. Like it was Halo. Everyone got into Halo, and I was like, because me and a bunch of people were all playing Quake 2, and
Yeah.
then I got into Unreal, and then Halo came out, and everyone went to Halo, and I was like, oh well, damn, okay, and then after that, everyone got into World of Warcraft, and that is not for
Oh
me.
God. Yeah. Oh
But
no.
but it was like literally all of my friends were in that, and so we're like all going out to, we're all going out to lunch, like 8 of us, and it's you got 7 people around the table all talking about their critical hit damage and their AOE's and their
Oh man.
whatever, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, this sucks. I
It's
don't
like
know.
a speaking another language.
Yeah, it really is a whole other language. And I was like, this, I don't know, man. I became a little more isolated in my gaming until Mortal Kombat 9 in 2011. That's when I like found like a competitive scene, and I was like, oh wow, it actually feels nice to be in a room where everyone's playing the same game again. That was pretty good.
Yeah. I've never been I've never been too big into fighting games myself.
No, no, that's
Yeah.
always like I'm not big into fighting games, but I've always been a Mortal Kombat player
Mortal Kombat,
since the
yeah.
first one. Um, but competitively, I got into MK9, and
Okay.
while Mortal Kombat is the only series I play competitively, becoming a competitive fighting game player makes it to where you really start enjoying watching other fighting games on tournament level because you get it, you know what they're doing because
Yeah.
they all share that kind of DNA, and so I only play MK, but like if there's a top 8, Street Fighter or Marvel or Tekken, like I'm there to watch it because it's just so much
Okay.
fun. It's so good. Speaking of other games that are similar in ways that you can enjoy, what do you think about Splitgate?
Splitgate, yeah, I did a video on that. I would say overall, on a very high level, it is a good game. Like it's very clear. It clearly wears its Halo influence on its sleeve, but it's
Doesn't
definitely
feel like, well, like it does, but it really
it's
doesn't.
influence, but yeah, it's not really Halo. Like
No.
I think the biggest thing to me, it's well, besides things like sprint, it's the fact that it's very simple in terms of the kind of damage types and in terms of the weapon sandbox. There's the word again.
Mm-hmm.
Weapon sandbox. It's kind of homogenous because basically all there is there's kind of bullet speed, like velocity and damage, right?
Yeah.
And that's all that factors into time to kill. Whereas in Halo, there's more things, right? There's things like the gravity hammer, right, where you can knock projectiles. You can knock like a rocket projectile, of course, things like that, or like plasma projectiles, which could have an alt fire, like the plasma pistol, or
Yeah.
the plasma rifle, which kind of like stuns people and it drains shields quicker. And the fact that in Halo there's a differentiation between shields and health, whereas in Splitgate it's just your health, and
Yeah.
that health regenerates.
More of a Call of Duty sort of mechanic than a Halo mechanic.
Kind of, but I would say it's closer to Halo than Call of Duty. It doesn't really. I think the health system, yeah, it's kind of like Call of Duty, but it's not. It's its own thing, really.
I differ from you a little bit there. I think that Splitgate is a lot more Call of Duty than Halo to me,
Okay.
because of my point is it feels like 95% of the time in every game mode, or almost every game mode, it's long distance rifles.
That's true.
It's like it's assault rifle, it's battle rifle, it's carbine. Everyone's running around and shooting each other long distance with rifles. You get hit, you hide, you recharge your health, and it's not like everyone's trying to get that rocket launcher or trying to get that plasma gun. It's rifles all the time, which makes me feel like I'm playing Call of Duty with, portals.
Yeah, true. Power weapons don't really tip the balance as much as
Yeah.
they probably should.
I grab that rocket launcher and I'm like, ooh, Halo, and then it's over. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, back to the carbine or whatever.
Back to the carbine. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a video. I just kind of spoiled it for the listeners with what I'm saying there. I will definitely get into those points in my video, but I have a Splitgate video coming out like next week, and it's definitely going to be talking about that. It's a good game. It is, but I don't know. It's not what I'm looking for.
I feel its biggest shortcoming is it's lacking in replayability,
Yeah, I get.
lacking in things to bring you back. I think each experience kind of blurs into each other,
I think
There's
that's
no
map design.
extreme standout moments.
I
Yeah.
think map design has a lot to do with that too. Like I close my eyes and I can barely even like make sense of what I'm thinking about in the maps that I'm trying to imagine.
Yeah. I think at the same time it's incredibly challenging. Like I would think a AAA studio would have trouble designing something like that, right? With portals and making that actually fun and balanced, and more importantly, making the maps flow, right?
Yeah.
Making the movement fun. So I feel like that's quite an incredible challenge that an indie studio has brought upon themselves.
Yeah, it's with the replayability thing, it's whenever I play it, it's not like, you know what, I want to play some Splitgate. It's kind of like, I guess I'll play some Splitgate for a couple hours. And that's about as
Yeah.
excited as I can get about it. But like, I don't know, it's just missing that. It's missing that weapon variety. Were you much of an Unreal Tournament player at all?
No, not much.
Do you know anything about the Link gun in that game? It's a plasma rifle. Shoots green energy.
No.
Okay, so think of a plasma rifle. You can already imagine you shooting the orbs, but it has an alternate fire mode that shoots the energy in a straight beam, like kind of Ghostbuster style.
Yeah.
And it's called the Link gun because if someone on your team also has a Link gun, they can shoot the alternate fire, and the laser goes to you, and now your Link gun is buffed. And
So it's like a teammate.
and so you can
Teamwork kind of
actually
thing.
coordinate like a string of like 4 or 5 people with link guns all connected together in a train, and the guy at the front is just like, bro,
Oh, shit.
massive like yellow energy balls that just destroy everything. It's a bit impractical, but my God, it's so cool, and it's like, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm missing. Like I need that bio rifle that shoots the green goo, or the rocket launcher that can charge up 4 rockets, and like I'm missing that kind of fun weapon variety and experimentation. Like there's a gun in there, the shock rifle, that shoots like a straight kind of like Star Wars like pew, like laser beam, and the alternative fire shoots a slow moving energy orb. And if you shoot out the orb and then you shoot the orb with the primary fire, the orb explodes, And
Oh yeah,
so you
yeah. I
could,
know stuff like that.
yeah, you could shoot that down a hallway and then target it right at the end, and it would do this plasma explosion around a corner. Then I play Splitgate, I'm just like holding my rifle on people till they die, and then I
Yeah,
portal away, and I just
and no like damage fall off.
yeah.
Same damage at range. No like no spread. Basically, just perfectly accurate.
Oh man, do you want to get on a rocking chair and just go out and yell at the kids in the street with me?
Yeah.
What was your first experience with Halo? Did you start with Combat Evolved?
No,
No.
actually, I'm actually on the younger side when it comes to starting with Halo. So I started in 2009. Oh no, 2008. So
Okay, yeah,
it was still, I would still say it was in Halo's peak, right? Like between Halo 3 and Reach. I mean,
yeah,
objectively, like in terms of popularity, that was when it was the most popular.
yeah,
So remember kind of I started with Halo 3, so and I went back and played Halo 1 and 2, and I enjoyed them all quite a lot, obviously. Um, and I remember the excitement for Halo Reach, and for me at the time, because I didn't really play much online games, so for me, just playing the single player and playing co-op with my friends, I really loved Halo Reach when it came out. I wasn't disappointed like as some people were. But by the time I got to Halo 4, I was incredibly excited. I was incredibly excited for
yeah.
that, for Halo 4. And I think that was probably my first big disappointment with in
You
terms
could
of
feel it,
games.
like, could you feel it right away, or was it something that like just over a couple weeks
It
you were
set
like
in.
it set in? What was it?
Yeah.
What, like, I mean, you've talked about the directions that you don't like, but like, what was starting to get to you after a while?
Well, it's not really
There's
it's
just a general
unspoken,
feel.
It's not something you can speak of. Yeah, it's like you just start to find yourself not having fun, and you
Yeah,
start to see everyone else dropping off as well, right? You see
yeah.
the player population drop off, nobody else is playing it, nobody's excited about it, and just people slowly drop off and stop playing it, and
We're
you kind of critically reassess it in your head, and you think, in retrospect, yeah, that wasn't really too good.
were
I think
you?
it was more like at first I tried to convince myself it was good, but I just couldn't keep up
Yeah,
the act.
yeah. I've been there. Uh, were you much of a first person shooter player before you got into Halo? And also, if yes, have you mostly been console, or do you come from PC roots as well?
Um, I wasn't hugely into FPS beforehand. Actually, I did play some like Medal of Honor, and that
Okay.
was all uh, on PlayStation. Well, I think I have a complicated history. I started out on PC first of all. It was like on the Windows 98. And I think I had a, I think my first game was Croc, which is like some obscure
I
platformer.
Oh my god, I remember Croc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Like I have this, like I can see the cover in my head at least.
Yeah, it was like some Yoshi ripoff, but for me, it was the original. And I played the PC port of that as well, so not the PlayStation version like everyone else.
Okay, I can't imagine if that like that could go either way, right? When you say the PC port of something, like
Yeah.
is that a good thing
I
or a
mean,
bad thing?
in the late, oh, well, I don't know. I haven't played the PlayStation version, so I don't have a point of reference here. But yeah, that and but I think more than that was like Age of Empires and later Age of Mythology. Like I really, really loved those.
All right.
And I still do. So RTS, I feel like was a big thing. I enjoyed them, even if I sucked at them back then. But I really liked RTS, and but yeah, later I think around the PlayStation 2, I think it was more platformers. So I really liked Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, and God of War actually. And I know you're a fan of God of War.
Big fan of the classic God of War games. Hey,
Yeah.
you know what game came back later and added sprint? God of War.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
it's true. It's true. Oh, no.
No, I'm not complaining though. If I played if God of War didn't have a sprint, oh my god, those worlds are so big. Can you imagine? Just like him just shuffling along. God, that'd be awful.
Oh god.
Oh man.
Well, I haven't played the new one on a PlayStation,
It could go either way.
but
You could love
you
it,
have
you
a
could hate it.
fairly tumultuous history with it.
Yeah, I get it though. I get why people love it.
Get it? Yeah.
I totally do. You could play it. You could absolutely love it, man. I don't know. I don't know what you're looking for. I don't know how things are going to resonate for you in a game like that. It's weird. It shifts to kind of another topic. That game is a game that gets like perfect scores, and
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. It's definitely not out of 10 out of 10 to me. It's like
I'm always critical of games that get perfect scores. I'm always like, I feel like something belies this
it's
something below the surface here that people
and
are
sure.
willfully ignoring.
Sure, that's always going to be the case. But I was discussing this earlier in the week in my Discord, where talking about 10 out of 10s. Like, should any game ever get a 10 out of 10? And I think it should. I think if a game it is at least a very solid first playthrough experience with minimal issues, if it does what it sets out to do very well, and if it is also like an important title to the history of the industry, because like Metal Gear Solid 1, like I could say that's a 10 out of 10 game. Now is it perfect? No, it's not. But for all the things that it does and the things that it means to the industry, I think it's understandable for someone to give it that. Ocarina of Time, Super Mario Brothers 3, there's games that I think you can give that score to. Now, God of War, I don't agree with that, but I can completely understand why people would give it a 10 out of 10. So it doesn't piss me off. However, Deathloop just came out. And I don't know if you've
Yeah.
played Deathloop, but it has
Well, I
gotten
like arcane games, but I haven't played it yet.
it has gotten lots of perfect scores, and it's one of the only times where I've seen a game getting 10 out of 10s, and I'm sitting back and I'm just saying, I don't get it. It's not like God of War where I'm like, I disagree, but I can understand. I'm looking at this game, I'm playing it, and I'm like, I don't see how anyone gives this a 10 out of 10. I mean, maybe someone here and there, but it seems to be like an industry thing of mass praise, and I got no idea, man. I don't know have you played Deathloop?
No, no, I haven't yet.
Oh,
But I don't know. I thought Prey was like,
I love Prey.
the Arcane's last game was great. Yeah. So
Prey is one of my favorite games of all time. Celeste, man, did you play Celeste?
no, I didn't.
Oh,
A
man.
lot of games I've missed.
Oh, dude, me too. Like, people think that just because you have a YouTube channel where you talk about games, that you've one, played everything, and two, that you play a bunch of games all the time.
Yeah, God, no.
Like
There's
30
only
or 40 games a year. No.
there's only 24 hours in the day, and I've already spent bloody eight of them sleeping. So like,
And these videos, like, I don't know how much time you spend on your videos, but I mean, I spend probably an average of 20 to 30 hours on a large opinion piece.
oh yeah, they eat up a massive chunk of
Yeah.
time.
That's I can't
Very
play games all the
time
time. No.
Especially if you actually want it to be like a good video, you know? Like,
With and this is one of the reasons why I like your videos, is that you put clear visual examples for everything you're talking about. And a lot of channels will not do that. They'll just kind of talk over general gameplay footage, which is fine sometimes if you're just doing like some general thoughts. But when you're like, it's like this, or like, you got to show me what you're talking about, and you put that in, but that's a lot more editing time.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for saying that, because that's actually something I've been working on. Because in the past, I was criticized for that as well. For
Oh
not
yeah.
provide. They say like, oh, you should provide an example of this. Like you said Halo 5, but you didn't even show Halo 5 gameplay and stuff like that. So I worked on that myself. I guess it's more, if you're doing the right thing, people don't know if you're doing it at all, right? Like people won't go and comment like, I'm glad you I'm glad you gave an example at this point.
Yeah,
You know?
no, of course not. It's like in movies, like they say that
Yeah.
good editing is not noticed, or
Yeah.
in video
Yeah.
games, good controls are not noticed. It's just when the controls are bad, and
Oh yeah, definitely.
but I mean, then you end up like in my case where I have to show like a different visual example every 4 to 5 seconds in my videos,
Oh yeah.
and God, it just when I'm making a script and then I make the list of clips I need to record, and I'm like clip number 98, clip number 99. It gets exhausting sometimes. You got to dedicate a whole weekend to that shit.
And for me, it's or if you made like a list of something and then you're editing the video and you realize you've forgotten like something important, and you go back and load up the game, and after you've uh
No, it's hell.
you're
This
triggering me.
I can't imagine I can imagine the kind of people that you have to deal with. Being a critical Halo channel,
Yeah.
you must have utter chaos in the comment sections of some of your videos.
Oh yeah, on the controversial ones, yeah. Well, for me it's all good, For me it's all good fun. I feel like, like I can handle. I don't mind getting ratioed on a video. It's not a
Isn't that weird that people
internet points aren't a big deal.
isn't that weird that people actually think that matters? Like you'll get comments who'll be like, "Haha, LOL, look at that like ratio," and you're like,
Yeah, I'd be
"What?"
like,
So
how about you let the this ratio tell you what the truth? You got smacked down hard.
it's just so
Yeah,
weird.
you're feeling dumb now, huh?
Yeah, look at your like ratio. I'm like, no,
It's like a like.
I made a video crapping on the new God of War trailer and it has a bad like ratio. What happened?
To an extent, I kind of that's something I kind of respected about your original Halo video. You're willing to go with the kind of the the brave title. You're
Right.
going with your honest thoughts versus if you were something like diplomatic. So many YouTubers, they go in, and if they're anything remotely critical, they basically spend a whole 5 minutes before the video basically prostrating themselves,
Oh my God,
begging
dude.
for permission to criticize a product.
Qualifying every statement.
Yeah.
Every sentence is followed by two qualifying sentences. Well, and I don't mean to say, and you have to do that. You have to put some degree of that in there, or the comments will just be wildfire. But you're never gonna get everything. There's always gonna be something you missed that people are gonna freak out about. So just
Yeah.
don't. You can't go. But yeah, the constant like pre-apologizing. But yeah, with that title, like so many people were like, well, that fucking clickbait title. I'm like, look, dude, this is not about trying to find an inflammatory title. This is about me having genuinely inflammatory views. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I wouldn't have called it that if I didn't feel like that, man. So you can
Yeah.
take an issue with how I feel, right? But I don't go around. I don't use the word ruined often. Maybe in like 3 videos of mine have I ever said ruined. And it's because that's a strong feeling, man. And so, and like I tried to clarify, it's like it's not so much about things being ruined, but it's about a bunch of people who would actually say that, and this is why they feel that way. This is the experience they had. And so I thought it was the right thing to do, instead of saying, the title being, in my opinion, the success
Yeah.
of Halo had a detrimental effect to the shooters that I personally enjoy the video.
Yeah,
Come on.
2,000 views.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
We're always biased. I think the one expectation that I always hear, it's they're saying about how, oh, this is biased. You're biased in favor of this viewpoint or opinion, and it's like, how, what would an unbiased review? What would an objective review look like? I say like, oh, the Halo is a game. The end.
Yeah. And like, don't you dare say that something is good or bad. because that's down to subjectivity. Like, come on, man. Are we really going to say that nothing in this world could be said to be good or bad? Like, I mean, once you've made that statement, then what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah.
Well, dude, this has been a really fun talk, man. I've really enjoyed this. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to hit on, or I'll tell you what.
I think. Well, no. What were you gonna say? You finished
I was
first?
gonna say, The Matrix Resurrections.
Yes.
Thoughts, excitement. Are you a little on the edge about it? What are you thinking?
I saw the first Matrix. I think it was a cool concept, but you know, if they're exhausted after two movies, with with the history of remakes in general, what do you, you know? It was an idea that was already running out of steam after the second movie.
By
How
the
do they
second
think?
movie.
Hmm?
By the time of the second movie.
By the time
Yeah.
of the second movie, after the first movie, yeah.
Yeah.
If they're already running out of steam, then I don't think the remake. It's either going to be serviceable and just basically a copy of the original, or or just be not not amazing. I don't have high hopes for it.
Okay. Okay.
What about you,
I'm hoping for. Basically, I'm going in there hoping for a good time and some good character stuff. And if I just get that, I think I'll be happy.
I mean, it could be. I'm open to being pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, if there's some fun action for me to eat my popcorn to, and the characters are not just like destroyed, I mean, and there's like some good drama. What I like is that they seem human again. That was what I didn't like about the sequels, is that everyone seems like an emotionless robot for a lot of the time, and here it feels like it's a lot more grounded, which is what the first film did so well. The first film felt like a very human story in a sci-fi world, and the last two feel like video games. And so that gives me some hope to see them in more vulnerable human states that maybe have to rise to the occasion instead of starting off the movie already as the ultimate badass, which is what I think makes especially Reloaded boring. Actually, I have a video coming about that very soon. But yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't need to be wowed. I just need to be entertained. But you know what? The last time I went into a movie with that view was 2018's The Predator, and I came out traumatized.
Oh no.
I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in and just hope for some Predator fun. I don't care about anything else. And then I came out of that movie seeing a movie about a predator.
Very much not fun.
Warning humans about the effects of global warming, and a giant CGI super predator kills the cool predator within 45 minutes, and bad jokes, and oh man, and the predators are trying to kidnap an autistic child to use his DNA to make super autism predators.
Because it was a superpower, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're trying to splice child's autism DNA into predator DNA, and then the vigilante predator was trying to deliver a weapon so that the humans could fight against the predator invasion, and it's just a fucking like Iron Man suit that turns people into metal predators. And
why would the predators even invade? They're meant to just.
But the story was,
hunt,
the story was that because of climate change, eventually the Earth is going to start becoming a place that the predator race will want to live. And so this predator was giving technology to the humans so that they could fight off the predator invasion. Just like that's not what I want from a predator story. That's not. Jesus. I couldn't believe
think how they
it.
come up with these plots.
I head in my hands, just like my friends were like holding me at the end of that movie, because I was in shock. I had never seen anything that unbelievably bad, and how do you make a movie about the Predator and then have the classic Predator get killed 45 minutes in and then have the next hour be a big like CGI super Predator? There's so many bad decisions in that movie. Unbelievably bad. They just filmed another one. It's already done.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh.
So who knows? I mean, okay, look, fingers crossed, filming a Predator movie on the down low during a pandemic, maybe that means that it'll be like a simple kind of story. And then maybe that'll be good. I don't know. Sorry, what were you trying to say?
No, I was going to ask, since we're on the topic of movies, what do you prefer, Alien or Aliens?
I'm an Aliens guy myself.
Oh.
I am.
So,
I would
why
never...
is that? Like the Marines? Or?
Love the Marines, man. Love the Marines, love the sets, love the music, love the Queen, and I love the character stuff. Alien is like a high class slasher movie in space, right?
Yeah.
You don't really
I like
get
the concept the most, you know?
You don't, yeah. You don't really get into what makes those characters tick in the first movie.
That's what I like about it. It's a kind of enigmatic, you know?
It's great.
Well, at least for the alien and stuff, you know?
I would never say one is better than the other because they're so different. I think they're just complementary. But what I love the character connections in the second one. I love Ripley with Newt. I love the camaraderie that she forms with Hicks. They're all just so memorable to me. It just the way that just the tension just keeps ramping up. I love Aliens, but the thing is, I love Alien as well, and it's kind of a Terminator 1, Terminator 2 situation. Like they're so different, but like you can completely understand when someone says they prefer one or the other. And I'm kind of the same way with Alien. I'm an Aliens kind of guy, but other people are Alien kinds of people, and that's cool too.
The whole alien mother just hanging on by Ripley's ankle. Like, how did she not, drag her down? How did she carry the whole weight?
Sure, yeah, I'll give you that. That's fine.
I mean, it is a minor. That's a bit of a nitpick.
At that point, I'm like, I'm just down for the ride, man. It's big and crazy, but dude, like, what's crazy is that here's what's crazy about Aliens as a sequel is that we already know what the threat is when we go into that movie. However, they're still able to spend an entire hour of the movie without the alien being there, and the movie is still interesting and tense. You usually can't do that in a sequel. Like, look at Predator. Look at Predator 2. Predator 2 starts with like a reveal of the Predator because we already know, right? What's the point in hiding him for 45 minutes? But Aliens actually takes the time and says, no, we're going to build this suspense for an hour, even though you already know what the threat is, and they do it so successfully.
Yeah. Well, I think even more controversially, in my opinion, what do you prefer, Mad Max or Mad Max 2?
I haven't seen them. I've only seen Fury Road.
Oh, you haven't seen them?
Yeah, I know. It's on my list of movies that I want to watch because I'm so into, like, I'm such an advocate for like classic cinema, especially when you get to like 80s stuff. But Mad Max is just didn't get it.
For me, Mad Max is so local. So.
Oh right. You're from Australia. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Tell you what. I'll load up Mad Max this weekend, I think, and I'll should I watch all three?
You can skip Thunderdome.
You can skip Thunderdome.
Just watch the first two. Yeah.
Okay. I recently just went through the entire Rocky series. Man, that was great.
Yeah, I haven't seen them.
Oh, all 8 movies I think are fucking great. Now, even the ones that aren't great are short, and so they're good and fun. The ones that are like good drama, they're like the 2-hour movies, and then the ones where it's like, well, now he's got to fight this guy, and it's kind of shallow. They're only 90 minutes, so they're fun. But yeah, all the way through Rocky 1 through 6, both Creed movies. I think it's probably the most consistent quality movie franchise ever made.
Okay.
When compared to fucking Children of the Corn or whatever. Yeah, dude, sit down, do a Rocky marathon. You won't regret it.
All right. Well, I guess just for the record, I do prefer Mad Max 1 over Mad
Okay.
Max 2. So
Is
that's
there a reason? Is something I should keep in mind when I watch that?
um I feel it's just the setting. Mad Max 1 has a much more grounded, believable setting. I think it's just the point in Mad Max 2, it's meant to be the apocalypse, but it's just nonsensical. The first thing they think of when it's the apocalypse is to move out into the middle of the desert where there's no water, where there's no fuel, they're not near any coasts, and it's just
That's a great point. Why are they in the
just
desert?
because it looks Australian. Because it looks Australian. This is the- oh man.
Since you're a fan of those, I mean, do you like Fury Road? That's the only one I've seen.
Oh, Fury Road was good.
Yeah.
It was good action. I feel like, well, it had the same
Yeah.
thing. It was in the middle. It had a lot of the Flanderization, kind of the overblowing a lot of the cliches.
Yeah.
You know.
But at least it took it to the ridiculous.
Yeah. I think
it,
it was self-aware in Fury Road.
Yeah.
I feel like.
That's cool. I need to rewatch that one again too. Yeah. You just put me in the mood to watch Alien. Might do a little.
That's a good mood.
Might do a little triple feature. Like Alien, Aliens, and then the assembly cut of Alien 3. That'd be a good. Dude, this has been really fun. I've had a lot of fun with this conversation. So.
Yeah, that's good. Good to hear. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for all that.
No, it was really fun. Do you prefer to go by... Because I called you Shredded in my video. I didn't want to call you Nerd. Because that's just, I don't know, like saying Nerd says. So I went with Shredded. How do people normally address you on your channel?
I guess just Shredded's probably
Shredded?
fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
well...
Shredded Nerd, whatever. It's
From here on out, officially,
Well,
I dub thee Shredded. Okay. Well, this has been awesome, man. I'm going to hit stop on the recorder. Everyone go check out Shredded Nerd's channel. He's got a lot of great in-depth Halo analysis stuff and more stuff to come in the future. Make sure you check back with him to see how upset he is by Halo Infinite. And
hopefully not.
hopefully not. And we'll see you guys next time. Later.